Hello, everyone, and welcome to Authenticity, my video podcast, where I'm in collaboration with Dawn with the Heartful Academy. Welcome, Dawn, to our collaboration.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here today, Anna.
I'm just so honored that you took the time out of your busy day and lots that happened over the weekend for many of us. This topic is near and dear to Dawn and I and many. Our topic today is going to be on intuition and inner guidance. And so this is part 3 of 4 of our collaboration. Intuition and inner guidance. Where do you want to start, Dawn? Should we go into intuition or would you like to talk about inner guidance?
Well, to me, they both start off in the same place. And I want to discuss, I just want to share that it is my belief that when we're born, we have full access to our intuition and inner guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's over the years where we have had to change our behaviors and show up in different ways and manage other people's behaviors and reactions and have traumatic experiences, big T and little t. We develop an armor, a set of like an armor around the heart. And this armor is what stops us being able to feel the pulses, the guidance of our intuition and our inner guidance. We feel lost and disconnected. And the more this armor is in place, like it's an energetic armor, it's like an emotional armor, the more that this is in place, the more we tend to act from logic, and our thoughts and society reinforces that message on repeat over and over again. And anybody who behaves and acts differently to that is almost called woo-woo and ridiculed somewhat. But the tides are changing, and I really believe that through so many of these big emotional, mental, and spiritual things that are happening right now, we are in the midst of a reconnection, primarily to our intuition and inner guidance. And to me, that matters enormously because, especially if you've ever been in like a relationship that with domestic violence or abuse or toxicity, one of the things that seems to happen the most is this armoring up makes us want to ask the other person for guidance, or the other person's opinion is louder than us, or we get manipulated into changing our opinions and people pleasing and having poor boundaries and all of those things. And so we learn that this isn't a safe thing to do. We can't advocate for ourselves. We can't make decisions for ourselves. So we lose the art, that we lose that, not the capability, but we lose the just the neural pathways, the behavior pathways to remember what intuition and inner guidance feel like. And then when we start to explore what that means, it's a slow journey, right? It takes time, it takes trial and error, it takes leaps of faith to trust something that feels uncontrollable and based on nothing but a feeling, and then feelings feel tricky sometimes. So the whole thing feels like it can be overwhelming, but when you start to really develop that relationship, it's what ultimately is drawing you towards the people and the places and the things that are in absolute alignment with the truth of who you are. But it takes practice. What do you think?
I think you're spot on. A lot, intuition is, we all are intuitive. You don't have to be, a spiritual person. We're born with this, like you said. Intuition can be labeled holistic. It can also be just from memory and experience and environment. And so it's funny, Facebook just reminded me that I'm live. Um, and so there's that. So you have the one holistic, meaning that it's like clear cognizance. You just
Hmm.
know this
Hmm.
knowing. And I have this gift
Hmm.
that things, no, you didn't have outside influence, you didn't have experiences that perhaps would lead you to this conclusion or clues. So
Yes.
that's holistic. And then we have, I wrote little notes down because I felt like this was really important. With so much going on, I would forget some key points. One of them is intuition based on emotional experience,
Hmm.
which dictates our intuition. And then there is the analytic, the mind
Hmm.
intuition that wants to bring in logic to this
Hmm.
intuition. And I spent the afternoon at a coffee shop yesterday and I was doing some research about science and intuition and what they have discovered. And and anyone listening to this can do the same thing. Excuse me. And they found that holistic intuition had far greater numbers of actuality where you can go, wow, they were
Hmm.
spot on. So when you used your knowing without outside influences from past emotional trauma or behavior or analytic or something that was taught to you, logic, it had the best results of being true. And so with practice, when you use heart over mind,
Hmm.
you trust your inner guidance. And that would go back to your inner guidance. This is this process that we've been leading to all in our previous episodes, is that checking in with your inner guidance and trusting that if it's failed you, it's because we have allowed other influences, and believing the mind, when we check in with our heart, is this true for me? It may not be true for Dawn. And I've spoke this way with my
Hmm.
own daughter. Dawn is, no matter what I say or what you have read to be true, you must rely on what's true to you.
Definitely.
And that is your intuition.
Mm.
To me,
Yeah.
your inner guidance, your inner compass will guide you in the right direction when you trust in yourself. But
And that's the key. Learning to trust yourself. Which comes first, the intuition or the trusting? And uh, so many of us have lived in a perpetual state of fight or flight that it's become so familiar, you're not even aware that you're in that kind of mode. But what's interesting about that and becoming aware of it, it means you have choice.
mhm,
You can choose which way to turn, you can choose which experience you want to practice more. But when you're in fight or flight, um, it's almost impossible to hear your intuition or inner
mhm,
guidance because the level of noise from your nervous system, from your hypervigilance, from your neural pathways that are on high alert, are just out of a place of trying to keep you safe. Uh, you're back to your biological responses. And when you feel unsafe, you can't hear those responses. You can't hear that inner guidance. Because it's subtle, right? Your biological response is loud, and your intuition and inner guidance are subtle. We talked about this a little bit last time, didn't
Yeah,
we?
I mean, I'll give you an example. You can walk in a
Mm.
room of people, and let's say you have this feeling that they're speaking about you,
Mm.
but yet you're like, no, it's in my mind.
Mm.
But yet, your feeling that you received when you first entered the room was that you felt otherwise. And then you
Mm.
ignore that intuition and you continue with, let's say, this friendship or whatever that you're doing at the moment. And then, maybe years later or months later or even a week later, you find out that your intuition was correct and that this wasn't in your best interest, this friendship or relationship.
Mm.
And so that's what I'm saying. Trust that the whisper, it's so soft and so subtle. Like when the hairs of the back of your neck raise, you've heard that saying, when there is maybe danger or something isn't right. You step outside or you get this odd feeling that something isn't right. That is your intuition.
Mm.
Listen, to let that you practice, let that be your guidance. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to take a moment. We are going on an hour earlier than we had anticipated. Dawn has other obligations, so we're honoring that, and so we had to come on. I do apologize for the miscommunication, but as we know, we have to go with the flow, and we really wanted to talk about this experience and how important it is to listen to your inner guidance.
To learn how to do it, it's so important, because when you make when you only know how to make decisions from your mind, you overthink and you end up feeling you can feel so overwhelmed, and you get lost in a feeling of I have to try and control everything and trying to work. I always imagine making choices is a bit like, I don't know if you've ever seen any of the Harry Potter films,
Mhm.
but there's a set of staircases that are always in movement, aren't they?
Yeah.
And making decisions from your head is like trying to piece all of the universal information of these staircases together in our little heads and try and make sense of it at any point. And it just doesn't work. And so the only way that you can feel what's coming and what's going to be next and what is really in alignment for you is to tap into walking up the stairs of these staircases, and then feel what feels right, where you want to go and how it's going, and then it will just naturally fall into place. It's much, much more seamless to do it that way. But the majority of us, we haven't learned that. That's not what we've been taught. So it has to be relearned and retaught and re-experienced and re-trusted, you know?
Of course, because many of us, we've heard woman's intuition. It's not
Mm.
just a woman's intuition, it's a masculine and a feminine. It's all of it. Everyone is born with this gift. It's our natural birthright. But we are told to be in the mind,
Mm.
you know, you're paranoid.
Yeah, being gaslit.
Yes,
Yes.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
You're crazy.
Hmm.
We've all heard that one. You must be crazy. That's not going on.
We do that to ourselves, though, Anna, as well. It's so ingrained that we gaslight our own experiences because we just don't know. Oh, I'm making too much of that. That probably isn't happening. And we talk ourselves out of these instincts. And in human design, they talk about all different types of intuition and inner guidance.
Mhm.
Um, and what's really interesting is like just as a couple of examples, you've got the gut instinct, which is a
Right.
yes or no in your belly. And then you've got the splenic authority, which is, I think, like you and I have,
Mhm.
which feels like a bolt of information,
Yeah.
like a bolt of lightning straight into the cells. And in that moment, but you didn't know before, but you know, in that moment, that bit of information, and then you move on. And then there are some others, but these are the main ones. And then you've got the emotional, which is imagining that your emotions can be quite wavy and to only make a decision when the wave is calmed. Because even if you're happy and excited and you're at the top of the wave, you're not going to make the best decisions from your inner guidance and what's connecting to you until it's plateaued a little bit. So
That's
it's just really
great.
interesting. I like how human design talks about just having an awareness and a concept of it.
Yeah, at the core, you should be coming from a balanced place, not wavered too far to the right or too far to the left, and being um, centered in your choice. And always, of course, discernment. Hi, Sherry. Sherry's watching. She says discernment and recognizing when it's clear. Oh, yes. What are your personal indicators? Paying attention. Why is this from past trauma? Is my intuition telling me this? Was this from abuse? Was this from someone cheated on me? So this person must be as well. And before I would question this person, I'm just using this as an example. You know, Hypothetically, you're saying, okay, my intuition told me that this person was, but they kept telling me they weren't. So I had to trust them because that's what we're taught, to
Yeah.
trust what people are telling us at face value and not listen. And then you carry this on, and then you find out that they were, and then you carry it on to your next relationship. And then you see similar behavior, and you automatically think that this person is cheating on you, but yet it's just from pattern, maybe a past trauma that making you feel that way. In all reality, at this point in this relationship, they are not. And so that's what we mean about like doing your inner work and having a life coach or a mentor where they assist you clearing all that which had programmed us, right? We have old
Yes.
programming that needs to be moved so you can have this clear, intuitive connection to your soul.
And that takes time when you're so stuck in that hypervigilance and feeling like waiting and watching for danger, watching for something to come along. And the familiarity of those terrifying and often very disturbing situations. Like many of us have experienced betrayal.
Yes.
Many of us have experienced that heart-wrenching, and you never ever want to have that again. Like a betrayal is hardwired into so many of us that it takes time and feeling safe and learning about what that looks like and feels like, and recognizing that you're going to be bringing this into relationships is okay as long as you're actively working with your safety mechanisms, learning what that feels like for you, learning to re-regulate your emotions, and finding ways to do that so that you can feel other feelings apart from just terror or apprehension or anxiety or overwhelm or,
And also, I want to remind everyone that these experiences happen to us because this is how we learn as humans. We learn from having these physical experiences with other beings mirroring to us what we need to learn, what we haven't learned. Perhaps you weren't aware of that's what it looked like to be betrayed. Or,
no.
something as simple as the stove is hot, you touch it as a child, you burn yourself. Now you know it's hot. And not
Mm,
till you have these experiences, that's called wisdom, that
yeah,
the gifts come from these past relationships and friendships and life to guide us into our next venture and
they
our
do. And what people like you and I are doing is the how. how do you make that journey? How do you do that? Because people, you hear a lot of people talking about, well, heal your emotions, heal your mindset, work on your feelings, and um, just learn from your experiences and let go.
Mhm.
But you need the how. You need, okay, well, just how, show me a process, show me an outline even of what that looks like, because it's so almost otherworldly. It's so
Mm.
outside of what we know up until now, that to go down that path is um, disorientating at best. If you were completely tapped into your intuition, you'd know that information would come in when it was ready. All you need to do is set an intention. But when you're stuck in your head and you're full of fear and anxiety and overwhelm and past experiences are triggering you, you need somebody to go, here's your North Star, here's your safety mechanism, and these are the steps that we're going to take from here.
Yes, because everything else is so loud that you can't hear it. You can't hear the whisper of your intuition. You can't hear
Mm,
your heart because so everything else is so blocking that, so noisy, the outer
yes.
chatter in the mind. And it's like anyone who's ever attempted to meditate that
Mm.
hasn't had enough practice in stillness, when you go
Yeah.
to meditation, and you've seen this in movies, they'll have the audio start talking, for the person that's in stillness and meditating, but the mind starts talking.
Mm.
And so you have to bring yourself back to center until you become enough practice that you realize that you're just sitting there in witnessing mode, observing. And so, exactly, life coaching and relationship coaches, or there's all kinds of coaching out there that are different than uh, seeing a therapist, for instance. Therapists work on our past, right? So
Yes, and only that. Yeah.
yes.
They
And
don't deal with the present and how you're going to hold yourself and what you're going to do next. And actually, a lot of the time, I don't even know. I haven't come across many therapists who talk about how to create a sense of safety for yourself, which
mhm.
is fascinating when you're going into these big. I feel like that's another topic, but
Yeah, well, I mean, here I'm going to just say it. I mean, we're trained in certified, and also after doing my own inner work and where I am in my wisdom, is that I am a non-judgmental
mm,
place. My role as a coach is not, I'm not interested, it doesn't matter to me what politics or religion, or if you're black or white, or if you're
mhm.
in same-sex relationships, or if you're a vegan or you eat meat. My role as a coach is to send you and guide you into your own inner guidance.
Yes, exactly. Which is all about that feeling of once you connect to that, you have a sense of, I've got my own back. I can look after myself. I can take care of myself. I can advocate for my own needs and wants. I can listen to what brings me alive and what I want to create for myself. Like it is the portal once you feel safe and you can access these subtle feelings of intuition and inner guidance. They become the only thing that matters in terms of direction and your next steps for making decisions. Like logic is secondary, it can be important. It helps put the feminine into matter, but it's not the primary focus anymore, and it should never have been.
And because of the service work that you and I provide, people are realizing more than ever that you're right, Dawn,
Mm,
that our inner guidance, that heart over mind, is the way forward to a
mm,
healthier experience in our world, as collectively and personally. I want to say hi to my brother. My brother's watching. Um, Makes me feel good being my birthday's in a few days. Hi, brother. So good to see you on the live. He must have time off from his work. He lives in Florida. I just wanted to say hi. Thanks for your support. Um, the masculine intuitiveness is there in all of us as well. You know, it's not just a feminine thing, like I mentioned before. It's not just
Mm.
women's intuition. This is something
Mm.
that we are all born with.
For sure. Yeah. Like a universal truth. It is just there.
A universal truth. I wanted to give another example of my intuition. Do you remember when everybody had the cell phones all over? I don't know if this happened in the UK, but last year we had where everyone had the cell phones were going to have some sort of alert,
Oh,
and
yes.
everybody's phone was going to go off.
Hmm.
And I tried not to, like I said, my role is to honor everybody's choice in what they were going to do, but I didn't have an opinion here or there on it. But out of the blue, I decided that I should go outside. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm going for a walk.
Mm.
Not thinking, oh, this was not a calculated, oh, this is because the phones are going to be going off and I don't want to hear this. I just knew in that moment to go for a walk and be in the park and be in nature.
Mm.
And so that was my intuition. Kicked
Mm.
in for no reason, no rhyme. It was like, I want to go for a walk, and off I went. And it happened
Mm.
at to be that time. And so, do you have a great example for us all that intuitiveness, assisted you in your life?
Um, I mean, so many that I'm finding
On
a
a
little bit.
daily.
Yeah, I really do direct my life in that way. I think the intuition, the inner guidance piece has definitely been the most important. To be able to sit in stillness and check in with myself, to really, truly ask myself how I'm doing and how I feel, especially when like uh, I've had a lot of domestic violence and stuff like that in my past, and so it's rare that it shows up these days, but it can, as a full-bodied panic response, like trying to keep me safe. And now I have enough understanding and experience to know the difference in my body to what that feels like and what my inner guidance feels like. And even though that's really loud, I know that with some time and releasing the emotion that's with the charge, after that comes a period of stability and a period of feeling safe. And that's when I hear my inner guidance. And that's what I trust, even if, and this is the hard bit, right? And I've had an experience like this over the weekend. Even if my safety mechanism is shouting at me, leave, go, don't do it, don't do this, don't do that, change your mind, whatever it is. And then I go, okay, I witness you, I see you, I hear you. I'm going to calm that emotional charge. And then how do I really feel about this? And that is priceless because then I'm not consistently reacting out of a place of reactive fear. I can be in my alignment when I make the decision, but it's taken some time. But I'm really, really proud of myself to have learnt that and to be able to help others with that too. It's such a shift, and it's changed my life from a place of suffering to a place of creative empowerment.
Hmm.
So,
Thank you for that. Um, one of my superpowers within being intuitive and listening to my intuition has to do with um, people's intentions,
mm,
really feeling someone, because we can go back into, are you in judgment? Intuition where judgment is there, or is this intuition a feeling? So that's where you can use your discernment. When you feel something from someone, that is your intuition versus judgment, based
Yes.
on their looks or the environment or previous experiences. Go with the feeling when you're not sure.
Mm. And if you don't know how to do that, for the love of all that is mighty, spend the next 6 months focusing on that, and it will fundamentally change your life.
You said if you don't know how to do that,
Yeah, if you don't know how to hear your inner guidance, if you don't know how to hear the truth of what's going on inside of you, when it's calm, when it's secure, when it's at ease, find out.
mm,
From you, me, I don't mind. Like, I want to encourage everybody to have that experience as a priority.
that's why we do what we do. I mean, that's why I became a life coach, or a spiritual. Mine is very spiritual based in mentorship, um,
Mm,
knowing what I do know and what I've evolved in the last 10 years, like I said on my last show, has assisted me from a
mm,
higher perspective after doing all the inner work
mm.
to understand that that others, I have this compassion, understanding in it now. When I talk to others, I realize they just aren't aware yet. They haven't done that yet. And once you
Yeah.
guide them, then they start their journey, their process.
Mm. It's really profound and it matters. It really matters.
Thank you for coming on last minute. I know that you had a lot going on. I want to wish everyone a wonderful holiday here in the US. I not
And a
everybody.
happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. It's on Thanksgiving. Not everybody celebrates Thanksgiving, but it is a day to give thanks for me, for my incarnation, and my family. Every day is a good day to be thankful. But whenever we can have an excuse to get together with family or friends, I'm all aboard. I can't wait to use a reason to celebrate something and get together with people.
I
I'm
love it.
offering a 20% discount on all my services
Mm,
if you mention this podcast. Uh,
mhm.
Direct message me or an email about this podcast and our topic, and you can receive a 20%.
Awesome.
Any specials going on over there for you for the holidays?
No, not for what I'm offering at the moment. I'm still um,
Mm.
fully booked out on nearly everything at the moment. And I just did a really lovely gift of sending people a blend of joy, essential oils of joy. That was beautiful. So
It's sold out, your
it
creation.
sold out. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
The essential oil, you made it yourself?
Yeah, it was a blend that I created, um, designed for festivities and finding joy throughout the festive time.
Well, I hope this show has broadened your perspective on intuition and inner guidance. And if you feel the call for a mentor or some coaching lessons, reach out to Don or I or someone near you.
Mm,
A special day. We're going to make this a short one today because we got started late, and I know Don has other appointments. We love you. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Tune
thank you,
in to our
everyone.
next episode, part 4 of coaching and relationship coaching. See you guys then. Have a beautiful
Bye.
day, everybody. Bye bye. Thanks, Don.
Thank you, Anna.